Hello, YouTube pipers. Double O pipe here. I started this out and was talking and tried to turn the volume up and just cut everything, so I had to start over. I think this is one of those Morgan Bones pipes. I'm not sure. I tried to read that lettering on the side in a strong light with that Sherlock device I have. Still couldn't make it out. The font is such that it makes it difficult to read, and that's not what a font is supposed to be. You're supposed to you're supposed to make it so that it's easy to read, so that your brand can be noticed easily. But somebody tried to be too artistic, I think. And I was talking about Inktober, which I think I mentioned before, and that I've been posting on a daily basis my drawings, my pen and ink drawings. And that I'm not really too enthused about what I've done. About all it is just I've tried to keep up with it with contributions, but I'm not giving it enough time, I guess. But anyway, I post them on Facebook and Instagram, along with the rest of the folks who are keeping up with it too. But anyway, it's a nice fall day out here. Really pretty. Cool. A lot of acorns on the ground. My dad always said you can tell what the winter's going to be like by the quantity of acorns on the ground from your oaks. Got quite a few, so if what he says is a forecast of what the winter's going to be like, then possibly we'll have a cold one here. It would be nice if we had a cold snap and had a real display of the change in the leaves, because being the climate we have, we don't get enough of that. Up north, you see some beautiful foliage turning red, orange, beautiful colors. But here, we're lucky if we get some changes, but the changes we get aren't really that demonstrative like up north. Some winters we've had, they have been. One was back when I was in third grade. And we were in class, all of us staring out the window because this was on a Wednesday and Thanksgiving was the next day, Thursday. Which meant we got, this Wednesday we were going to get out at 12, so we had half a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we had a 4.5 day vacation. Like we really needed a vacation. I mean, school wasn't that hard back then. But this particular day, as we were bored, it's the only way you can describe it. The teacher was looking out the window too. She was looking at the display of colors because we had had a cold snap over the last week or so. And the trees had really turned to brilliant colors. It was very unusual for us, but still beautiful. And while she was looking out the window, I was reaching real sneaky like. The girl in front of me had a pigtail, or whatever that was, coming down the back of her head. It wasn't a ponytail because it was weaved, hanging straight down. And I was just getting up close and almost had my hand around it when she snapped her head back around, saw me doing that, and yelled my name, Ricky. And I sat back in my chair like that. She said, "You leave her pigtail alone. And now I'm going to tell you, children, what I want you to do over your holidays." And somebody yelled, "Homework on our vacation days?" And she said, "You're going to like this. It's not really bad." We all groaned anyway because homework. Ugh. So as we all sat there groaning, she said, "All right, quiet down, quiet down. What I want you to do, you got plenty of time to do it. I know that you're going to have Thanksgiving. You're going to have a big meal and everything, and you're going to celebrate that particular day, but you got several days. And all these beautiful trees out here with the leaves turning like they are, I want you to get a leaf of a different color from every tree that you find. And I want you to write down what tree you got that from, if you got that from an oak or a sycamore or whatever. And gather as many of these beautiful leaves as you can and list on your paper where you got them or what the tree was you got them from." We still groaned. Anyway, she said, "You can go back to your coloring now. It's pretty soon that we'll be letting you out." Like I say, this was Wednesday and it was half a day. Finally, 12 o'clock came by and she said, "All right, you're all able to go home now. But remember what I asked you to do. I want you to collect those leaves, each a different color, and tell me what kind of a leaf it is, an oak, sycamore, or whatever." And everybody just looked at her and said, "Okay, we'll do that." I grabbed my knapsack, which was one of those old Army surplus backpacks that you wear over your shoulders, and it's that olive green. Put your books in it and everything and snap it down and put it on your back. That's how we carried our books back then. Like all the boys had them. I don't know what the girls had. I don't remember. But all the boys, we were walking around with our Army surplus backpacks on. And as I walked out, my buddy Richard, I said, "What do you think of having to do homework over our holiday?" And we we both started running toward our bikes, which were on the side, in a bike rack, front wheels through the iron bars. And he got onto his Schwinn, and I yanked my Columbia out, and he was pedaling off, and he said, "I don't think it's going to be that bad." And I said, "Wait for me." And I jumped on my bike and I pedaled hard, and we went through soft sand to get through the back gate. And we started pumping hard on our bikes, kind of racing. He said, "I don't think it's going to be too bad." He said, look at all the leaves." He said, "This is really a pretty display." And I said, "Well, maybe you're right." And he pulled ahead of me, and I started pushing those pedals as hard as I could and tried to catch up with him, but he was going pretty fast. We zipped around one corner and got on the road, and up ahead was the road that I turned on. And as we got to it, I turned off and he went on to his house, which was about another half mile down the road. I was pretty close to my house. We lived about 2 houses down from my grandparents at that particular time. Anyway, I got to my house and went inside, and I guess I probably turned on the TV because I had just forgotten all about homework. Back then in the afternoon, you could watch Woody Woodpecker and those kind of things. And I liked cartoons, so I watched those. Then parents got home, and my mother started cooking for the next day because she helped my grandmother by getting food ready. Because everybody, I mean everybody in the family came to my grandmother's house for Thanksgiving, because everybody lived within 10 miles of my grandmother's house. Everybody in the family, all the aunts and uncles, cousins. That was back in a time when families were close. And we got to spend time with our grandparents and our aunts and our uncles. And we heard stories about their past, and Thanksgiving was just a good time. We were all together, the kids got to play. Well, Thanksgiving came. Went down with my mother helping her carry some of the food down. Like I said, it was just 2 houses down. And we got there, we put the stuff up, and I went in the front room where my uncle had the football game on. I sat down. I wasn't interested in the football, but I sat down because my cousins were there and we started chatting. So we went outside and started playing until we were told food was ready. So we went inside. Long table full of food. I mean, just a tremendous amount of food for all of the family. And there were a lot of people there. So we got a plate together. My granddaddy stood up and said, Everybody be still, lower your heads. And he said the blessing. And at the end he said, and bless the little cook. He always said that at the end. And we all gathered up our plates and found a place to sit down, most of us in front of the TV to watch the football game. And we went back for seconds, filled our plates up again, came back and ate, watched football. And the kids, we all ran outside and started playing outside. And the afternoon was coming along, and it was getting later, and we went back inside, and my grandmother and my mother and my aunts had placed all the desserts. I mean, there were a lot of desserts, pies and cakes. And my grandmother's favorite, which was a whipped cream cake that you had to go into town to pick up because there was only one Piggly Wiggly in town that sold this particular whipped cream cake that she was in love with. And we all got our desserts. I mean, we got 2 or 3. We didn't just settle for one. Sat down, and obviously there was another football game on, so we sat down in front of the TV, ate our desserts. When we finished it, we went back for more dessert because there was, whatever we got, there were other things that we wanted as well. And we were just, by the time we finished our desserts, we were, our bellies must have been out this far, just totally stuffed. And after everybody began to clean up and relatives began to leave, we went back home, and I just fell into bed and fell asleep. I was just, and then the next day, most of the day I just spent that digesting food that I'd eaten the previous day, so I didn't get a whole lot done. There was not much to do. And that was Friday. Went to bed. Got up, the next day was Saturday. Went down to my grandmother's house and had some leftovers. Once again, filled up on food. So I was just that lazy slug. We went back home and I watched TV with the folks for a while and then went to bed. And then on Sunday we got up and we went to Sunday school and church. And back to my grandmother's to finish up the food. And by that time, pickings have become slim, but there were still plenty of desserts, which I dived into. And by the time I finished my desserts and woke up from a nap, because I was just too full, and I think all my blood was in my stomach instead of my brain. But when I woke up from that nap, I looked outside and it was getting gray because the sun was going down and I hadn't collected one leaf, not one. So I ran outside and I saw one leaf that was red, and I saw another tree that had an orange one. And as I was picking my red and my orange one, the sun was still going down so that you couldn't detect color like you could. Everything was more or less gray. So I was running along the golf course where the trees were and just trying to distinguish colors, and I couldn't see any colors. So I saw something that looked like it might have been brown, so I picked one of those up. And with the sun going down, I said, I better just get a handful of leaves, which I did. Well, I put those in a notebook, and I took them to school the next day. And as I was pedaling out to school, Richard came up and we started riding side by side. And I said, how did you do with the leaves? I forgot all about it. He said, I got a bunch. You should see them. Well, you will see them. I said, how did you remember to do it? He said, because all these leaves are just so pretty, I wanted to go get them. we got to school and we went to that particular teacher's class. Well, we went to class and it was the same teacher all day. I was thinking high school. But anyway, toward the end of class, she said, okay, I want to see your leaves now. And everybody got up in front of the room. They had some beautiful selections and talked about the different trees they got them from. Richard got up there and showed his. He had a beautiful collection. All shades of red and orange through brown and a yellow or two. And he talked about where he had gotten them, what trees he had gotten from. I went up the front of the class and I had 3 leaves, one red, one orange, and one brown. I said, this is what I found. And I talked about them for about 30 seconds. And the teacher looked at me like, what did you do all week? Well, needless to say, my collection was not that stellar. We didn't really get a grade on it or anything, but it just showed that I hadn't done a blooming thing. But I tell you, Richard's collection was really gorgeous. I should have spent some time with him that weekend, I guess. But I was too busy doing nothing. Sometimes I was pretty slack back then. Another tale from childhood. Just some of the things I remember. But anyway, I wasn't too proud of myself. But I went back home and we had a turkey sandwich. Oh, me. Well, enough of this jibber jabber. Not really keeping my pipe lit today. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope your autumn day is a beautiful one too. Take note of the trees. If you're up north, take some photos, share them. If you're down here, I hope we get some pretty choices today or this fall. Take care of yourselves. I'll say God bless. Till the next time. Bye-bye.